Note that this is the most advanced U-2 reconnaissance aircraft in the United States in the 1960s. It is said to have bewildered all countries worldwide. At the same time, it also became a focus for the Soviet Union at that time, and it is rumored that it had to be shot down by this helmet. Today, we will use the form of three-dimensional animation to recreate the entire process of the U-2 reconnaissance aircraft being shot down by the Soviet Army. Pay attention. The video is a bit long, little friend of Duncan. Hurry up and click on the slide. Let's continue. Back to Labor Day on May 1st, 1960, the U.S. intelligence agency pilot Francis Garibaldi, driving a U-2 reconnaissance aircraft, took off from the Peshawar base in Pakistan and flew straight to the Soviet Union for a secret high-altitude reconnaissance mission. However, today is also a special day for the Soviet Union. The proud Soviet Army is holding a grand parade in Red Square, demonstrating its powerful military strength to the world. But as the Soviet Union and the entire country were engrossed in national celebrations, a red alarm sounded at the Khashoggi radar station. In the radar room, the soldier was staring at the radar screen's high-speed movement. He knew very well that the highlight was an American spy plane, and he also knew its name was U-2. For 5 years, it has been appearing frequently on the radar. But because of its altitude, it flew to an astonishing 21,000 meters. At this height, the Soviet Union at that time had almost no weapons to defeat it. This left the Soviet Red Army feeling helpless and powerless. Today is a very important day for the Soviet Union. At this critical moment, the appearance of American planes shocked all the high-level people. Sorodov, who is in charge of the anti-aircraft mission, is screaming in the office at the moment. For the past 5 years, because of this American plane, he has often been lectured by the headquarters. Today, it is even named that no matter what the price is, he will fight this plane no matter what. This heavy bullet makes him more stressed, which makes him hate this American plane even more. At this time, in an anti-aircraft base, Commander Mikhail Voronov is tidying up and going to a military gathering. Suddenly the phone rang. He got a call from the top level. There was a thunderous scream on the phone. A US reconnaissance aircraft illegally broke into the Soviet territory and sent all the latest SAM-2 anti-aircraft missiles into combat. If you don't take this damn American plane down today, you'll go home and plant it. Michael heard the roar on the phone. He was shocked. He ran to the combat department and returned to his position. At this time, in the high-altitude U-2 reconnaissance aircraft cabin, Bosch is shooting at the target below without panic. He is completely unaware of Sujun's action against him. He has just received a call from the headquarters, and Mikhail, who was lectured, is at the missile base, repeatedly inspecting the system to prepare for the launch. He stares at the radar screen intently. As soon as the target appears, it will be locked by the missile radar. At this time, Mikhail is very anxious. Suddenly, a bright spot appears on the radar screen, followed by a second one. Mikhail speculates that one of them may be the correct target. No matter, take them all down. So Mikhail orders 3 SAM-2 missiles to be ready for launch. When the launch button is pressed, a SAM-2 missile, which was already ready, roars towards the ground and continues to adjust its direction according to the target locked by the radar, moving towards the target. Mikhail looks at the radar screen nervously, watching the missiles getting closer and closer to the target, thinking, faster, faster. At this time, Bosch, who is driving the U-2 reconnaissance aircraft, is still unaware of all this and is planning the next reconnaissance target. Suddenly, the sound of the plane's fuselage was loud, followed by a flash of fire, and the SAM missile hit the tail of the U-2. Then the fuselage began to lean to one side, followed by a head of disaster. Bosch realized that he had been hit by the missile. He worked hard to control the plane, trying to lift the fuselage, but everything was in vain. On the dashboard of the U-2 reconnaissance aircraft, all kinds of warning lights lit up at the same time. The fuselage was like a free-falling balloon, roaring from a high altitude of 20,000 kilometers. The plane was about to crash, and the plane was also cut off during the crash. The plane was about to crash, and the plane was also cut off during the crash. The plane was also cut off during the crash. The plane was also cut off during the crash. The plane was also cut off during the crash. The plane was also cut off during the crash. The plane was also cut off during the crash. Finally, in the end, he pulled out the oxygen tube and got out of the plane. He quickly opened the parachute. At this time, he took a breath. He knew he was alive. During the descent, he took out a coin hung on his neck. There was a poisonous injection needle used to kill himself in it. Boris looked at the dense forest below him. He was confident that he would not be caught by the Soviet army, so he threw the coin away. At the same time, in the anti-aircraft missile base, Michael and his men were staring at the radar screen nervously when they saw the launch of the surface-to-air missile and the target colliding into a number of blind spots. They were excited and happy. It was really great. They finally shot this terrible guy down. But when Michael reported to the headquarters, there was a loud noise on the phone. It was only the right ear that was hit. He quickly found it and continued to attack. Michael was helpless and could only order his men to continue to target the object. What they didn't know was that there were 2 MiG fighters urgently searching for traces of the U-2. In order to prevent scouts from spying on us, the radar detection codes of the military will be updated every month. But today, due to the holiday, the technical staff did not have time to update the new codes in May, which caused a disastrous result. As a result, there were 2 bright spots on the anti-aircraft radar, which were mistakenly believed to be the actual U-2 reconnaissance aircraft. At this time, 2 surface-to-air missiles flew in the direction of the 2 MiG fighters. One of the MiG fighter jets sent an urgent missile lock alarm. It made a quick turn and managed to escape, while the other one was not so lucky. 2 missiles hit another MiG fighter at the same time, and it was blown to pieces. At this time, the bar's landing umbrella fell heavily on the ground. At first glance, many villagers surrounded it. A villager wrote 3 words on the trailer, USA, asking if he was an American. Boris had no choice but to nod his head. Soon, the White House found out that the U-2 reconnaissance aircraft had disappeared in the Soviet Union. Realizing that it must have been shot down by the Soviet Union, it is said that the U-2 reconnaissance aircraft flew into the Soviet Union's airspace due to the failure of the navigation. But what they don't know is that at this time, the bars had been captured alive. In addition, the bars had not been able to destroy the high-altitude camera from the U-2 wreckage. After several months of interrogation, the bars finally admitted to this espionage activity and apologized publicly. The act was widely reported by the US media, claiming that Bars was a coward and a traitor. Since the U-2 reconnaissance aircraft was destroyed by the Soviet Union, it directly led to an escalation of tensions between the United States and Soviet Union, and also triggered an international political crisis. Since then, although the United States has stopped its high-altitude reconnaissance missions against the Soviet Union, it has also triggered the strengthening of countermeasures and measures against espionage activities by countries around the world.